trial, the so-called Doomsday Mom gave their opening statements on Monday. Lori Vallow Daybell is charged with the deaths of her children, Joshua and Tylee. The state described Vallow Daybell as a shrewd, power-hungry woman intent on using people to get what she wanted. Meanwhile, the defense tried to remind the jury to separate their client from the actions of her husband, Chad, who will face a separate murder trial later this year. Both trials could last more than a month. We're going to get more perspective on this trial now, and for that, I'm joined by Jesse Weber. He's an attorney. He's a host at the Law and Crime Network. He's also a very regular appearance legal analyst here on the network. Thank you for joining us, Jesse. Good morning.
Good morning, Mitch. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, too. I think the most interesting thing, the thing that sticks out to me, because I have followed this case very closely, is that we finally know what killed Chad Daybell's ex-wife. Tammy Daybell was originally judged to have died of natural causes. Yesterday, we heard in opening statements that she actually died of asphyxiation at the hands of another person. That is something new, and I kind of wonder, with the conspiracy charges here, how that will play in to this trial of Lori Vallow Daybell.
You're 100% right. We didn't know that. I mean, we knew that it wasn't natural causes anymore because there was investigation. Her body was exhumed. I will tell you, I'm not surprised that's what they ended up coming with, because that or poison would have been the most obvious, in the sense that, you know, if this was blunt force trauma or this was a gunshot wound or a stab wound, that would have been indicated at the beginning. So asphyxiation at the hands of another, not that surprising. But what it seems to me, and let's be very clear here, Lori Vallow Daybell is not charged with the murder of Tammy. She's charged with the conspiracy to commit murder. So if she and Chad, or she and Chad and Alex Cox, her brother, somehow created a plot to kill Tammy in order for Chad and Lori to be together or to collect on her insurance benefits, and somebody took one step in furtherance of that plot, doesn't even have to be necessarily Lori, the jury could find her guilty of that. And I think that's a really significant point for the prosecution. And I think it would be easier for the jury to ultimately find her guilty of that conspiracy charge than ultimately being found guilty of committing the murder of Tammy Daybell. That's why I think she wasn't charged with that.
Yeah, and Tammy Daybell, by the way, was buried with no autopsy until finally they thought, there might be something more here. So, again, That is new information for us. You mentioned Alex Cox. That is Lori Vallow Daybell's brother. He is also dead, also of natural causes. And there's some questions about how he passed away. But I'm just kind of wondering if he's just going to be the boogeyman in this trial, that everything the defense says is, well, Alex did it.
It's a great strategy. Why is it a great strategy? Because he's not here. It's very easy to put the blame on a dead man. Now, I will tell you, from what we're hearing from the evidence, it sure looks like he was complicit in what happened, and it sure looks like he might have been the person to physically carry out the killings of the children. You remember there was evidence that he was on the property, Chad's property, where these bodies were found. There was evidence that after Tammy's death, he said, "I hope I'm not the fall guy." This is somebody who the prosecution laid out as who would do anything for his sister. And let's not also forget that he killed Charles Vallow. This is Lori Vallow Daybell's former husband. Now, it was deemed at the time to be self-defense, but Lori Vallow is facing a separate charge in Arizona for conspiracy to commit the murder of Charles Vallow. So I think the defense is going
Jesse,
to put
let me interrupt
all the
you
blame
there,
on
because I wonder what the scope of this case is going to be. How much of the stuff that happened in Arizona, you're mentioning Charles Vallow's death. This happened when Vallow and Alex Cox, who's Lori's brother, had an altercation. And Alex Cox says he shot Charles Vallow in self-defense. But is all of that coming into this Idaho trial, or does that have to be kept out? Or do we know yet?
Okay, that is a great question. There are going to be aspects of that, as well as there are going to be aspects of what we heard yesterday. The former husband of Lori Vallow's niece, I know it gets so complicated, he testified that someone took a shot at him. Now, why is all this coming in? To show a common scheme and plan. The common scheme and plan being laid out by the prosecutors are that Lori and Chad would get rid of people in their life to further their own lives, whether it's financial benefit, whether it's for them to be together. So the jury's going to hear samplings of this, but they're not going to be asked to determine whether or not she was responsible for the murder of Charles Vallow or the attempted murder of her niece's ex-husband. It just goes a little bit more to what their plot was, and it's a really chilling story that the prosecution's laying out. Incredibly complicated. And let me just say this real quick. I think the prosecution did a really good job of trying to condense this story, but I think the defense has some avenues here as well.
Yeah, well, in the prosecution, they can go as long as they want on the opening statement. On TV, it's a lot harder to condense. But I want to go back to Tammy Daybell, who has passed away. Chad and Lori were married in Hawaii 17 days after she died. And this is a circumstantial case when it comes to Tammy Daybell, but those are some pretty heavy circumstances. How much did that come up?
I think that's the number one fact here. I really do. And by the way, I wish we had more time. I could talk about this case for an hour.
I know. Hey, listen, I covered this case when I was in Arizona, and it's just there are so many twists and turns, so many family members. It is tough to keep track of, but that's why we're going to keep following it.
Yeah, I think I need the board behind me with the different players.
We need the strings in the bulletin board. Yeah. We need the red string. Yeah, I'm sorry, but my question to you was about being married 17 days after the death of Tammy Daybell in Hawaii. So sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
No. I think that's the key point, Mitch, and I'm glad you mentioned that. How on earth could they get married right after the suspicious death of Tammy Daybell? How could they get married when the kids are nowhere to be found? And I think those details, the level of deception that Lori Vallow was engaged with, and we still haven't even heard from Melanie Gibb, who is a star witness in this case and is going to say that Lori Vallow told her to lie to authorities. It's that behavior, it's that timeline, it's those statements that I think are going to be really problematic for Lori Vallow. They might not be able to place her at the crime scene. They might not be able to say she actually carried out the murders, but all these behavior shows consciousness of guilt, which can lead a jury to find her guilty of the charges that are laid out against her for Tammy and the children.
Now, this whole thing started because the kids were missing. The grandparents said, "Where are the children?" A reporter named Nate Eaton from East Idaho News, he flew to Hawaii. He found them on their honeymoon after they'd been married and said, "Where are the children?" And they had no answers. And now 3.5 years later, we've got a trial. And we are going to cover it from cover to cover here. That's Jesse Weber. He's an attorney. He's a host on the Law and Crime Network, regularly appears on our network to help us out with legal things. And we thank you for being here on Early Morning.
NewsNation legal contributor. I'm here for you guys.
Heck yeah. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Still to come on Early Morning.